Lesson 5.3, Solving Multi-Step Inequalities. This is day 2 for our lesson, and we do not have a new essential question. This essential question is the same as the one that we answered yesterday. This chart, we've seen this chart before earlier in this chapter, but we're working with more word problems today, so we really need to make sure that you understand which symbol these words represent, and some of them, remember, are really tricky. I always recommend thinking about money. That's what helps me to remember which symbol is which. So the basics, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. Those aren't the problem. Even fewer than and more than aren't the problem. It's these last four. I'm going to go with first saying no less than. If you have no less than $5, it means you do not have less than $4. $5, sorry. So if I do not have less than $5, then I must have more than or equal to. So right here, greater than or equal to, because it is not less than. So if it's not less than, the other options are greater than or equal to. So then if it is not more than, it would have to be less than or equal to. At most, 5 at the very most, $20. So at the most, $20. I want you to think about how much money that means. At the most, $20. So in my pocket, at the very most, I have $20. So that means I could have 20, or maybe I have 19, 18, something less. So at most is not more than. It's not more than. It's actually less than or equal to. Less than or equal to. So then that means that at least, if I have at the very least $20, then I've really got 20 or more. Okay, so those symbols that represent these 4 verbal expressions are the opposite of what you would expect. So when you see the word more or most over here, with no more than or at most, it actually means less than or equal to. And then no less than or at least actually mean greater than or equal to. Very tricky. Our first word problem. Felix needs for the temperature of his leopard gecko's cage to be at least 82 degrees. Currently the cage is 62.5 degrees Fahrenheit. How much warmer does the basking spot need to be? Okay, so right now it's at 62.5. And we need it to be at least, remember what we just said about at least. So if it's at the very least 82, that means greater than or equal to. The question is how much warmer? How much warmer does it need to be? So that means we're going to have to add on a certain amount of degrees. So let's solve this and see how many degrees we need to add on. We subtract 62.5. And I'm going to make my decimal the same length. Okay, so he needs the temperature to increase by 19.5 degrees or more. Remember that with word problems, we do expect a word answer to go along with your inequality so that we can see that you understand what your answer means in that situation, what it really represents. So Felix needs the cage to be at least 19.5 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than it is. Pam wants to buy season passes to Valley Fair and Nickelodeon Universe. One season pass costs $54.99 and Pam has $100 to spend. The second season pass must cost no more than what amount? So not more than. If it's not more than, it's going to be less than or equal to. She has $100 to spend. One of the passes costs $54.99 and we don't know the second one. So I'm just going to say plus X. If we solve this, we subtract $54.99. And the second pass must be less than or equal to $45.01. So the second pass must be $45.01 or less. When you're working with writing inequalities and you're talking about shopping, less than or equal to is always the inequality symbol that you're going to use because you can spend less than the amount of money you have or equal to it. You can't spend more than what you have. Our next problem, 2 more than half a number is greater than 27. What could the number be? 2 more than means plus. Half a number. Half a number is like half times x or x divided by 2. I kind of like x divided by 2 better. Is greater than 27. If I solve this, I subtract my 2 first. So x divided by 2 is greater than 25, and then I multiply my 2 on both sides, so x is greater than 50. So what could the number be? Anything greater than 50. Five minus 6 times a number. 5 minus 6 times a number is more than, so greater than, 4 times the number plus 45. What could the number be? On this problem, I always say subtract away your smaller variable. The smaller variable is negative 6x. If you subtract a negative 6x, it's the same as adding 6x to cancel it out. So I add 6x, so I'll get 10x plus 45. And break down my 5. Now I need to subtract the 45 on both sides. Five minus 45 is negative 40. And then divide by 10. So negative 4 is greater than x, or x is less than negative 4. So what could the number be? The number could be anything less than negative 4. The print shop advertises a special to print 400 flyers for less than the competition. The price includes a $3.50 setup fee. The competition charges $35.50. What does the print shop charge for each flyer? Okay, so they're printing 400 flyers, so 400 flyers, plus they have to pay a $3.50 setup fee. And they want to print it for less than the competition, and the competition charges $35.50. So this is what my inequality should look like, because they want it to be less than that competition. So I subtract the setup fee, because that setup fee happens once. That's why it doesn't have the variable on it. It's the 400 flyers that you're going to have the variable flyers times 400. 400 of them times the price per flyer, plus that setup fee has to be less than $35.50. So if I subtract, I would get $32, and 400 flyers are being printed for $32. So if I divide it, it will give me the price per flyer. This is kind of a tricky problem. Remember, when you set it up, you have to ask yourself which one of your numbers in the problem is going to get the variable. So when it said each flyer, and they were printing 400 flyers, that's how I knew where to put my variable. Not on the $3.50. Setup fee happens once. It doesn't happen over and over. So dividing these gives me 0.08, so 8 cents. 8 cents. So what does the print shop charge for each flyer? The print shop charges less than 8 cents per flyer. You should be ready to write your summary now. And here are your homework word problems. Good luck.